All right, hello boys and girls. So we are on our last video for topic 13, and we are going to be looking at ordering and comparing decimals. Now we've looked at ordering and comparing whole numbers, okay? We've looked at ordering and comparing fractions. Now we're going to look at those decimals, determining which number is bigger, which number is smaller. If we have more than two numbers, how do we order them from either smallest to largest or largest to smallest? And again, we're going to use place value to help us with that. And that's why place value is important in understanding how the different place values relate to each other and how we can use those place values to help us when we are looking at different numbers. Okay, so we have here, which of the following numbers do you think is the greatest and how do you know? So we're looking at these three numbers, and this is 67 hundredths, 66 hundredths, or 7 tenths. Okay, and if you look at these numbers, okay, I want you to take a guess at what you think is the largest right now before we get into the next slide and really look at how we determine which one is the largest. Okay, so let's make our prediction, and then now let's take a look at our next slide in our place value chart. So just like we have in the past, we have place value charts, okay? And I want us to think of this. I'm going to go back to the next slide to show you how we're going to use this. So we have our hundreds, tens, and ones because it's to the left of our decimal, and then we have our tenths and our hundredths, okay? So let's go back to our slide now, and let's think of this. I don't have any holes, okay, but I am going to set up a little bit of a chart here. Okay, just like this. I'm going to put my decimal here, okay. I have a 0 in each of these numbers. So I have a 6 and a 7, a 6 and a 6, and then I have a 7 and then technically a 0, right? Remember, this line here, I'll make it squiggly, represents my decimal. So if you remember when we used our place value charts, we look at this first column first, okay? And I see I have a 7 here. So 7 is larger than these two 6's. So that would make my 7 tenths the largest number so far, okay? I look at these other two numbers and they're both a 6. That's not going to help me. So now I have to come over here. Okay, and I see a 7 and a 6 again. So because this 7 is bigger, that must mean that my 67 hundredths is my next biggest, and then 66 hundredths would be the smallest. So if you predicted that 7 tenths was actually the largest number, then you were correct. And some students tend to get a little thrown off when I say 67 hundredths, 66 hundredths, 7 tenths, because then they think, well, oh, tenths, it's smaller. But really you have to remember, just like in fractions, that tenths is technically larger because we're only splitting that thing into 10 pieces instead of 100 pieces, okay? Another way you could use to help you with this is these both had 2 digits after the decimal. We could make this number look like this if we needed to, okay? And really read that as 70 hundredths, which would automatically make it larger than those other two, okay? All right, so now let's take a look at our next screen and comparing those three other decimals on this screen. So I'm going to do the same thing I just did on the other screen. I'm going to put my ones here. So I have my 2 and 48 here. Okay, I have my 1 and 48 there. And then I have my 2, 5, and technically a 0 here. Okay. All right. So we start here. Okay. And they want to know from greatest to least. Okay. So I want to put my largest number first. So we look. Well, I have 2 2's and a 1. Well, that means these two numbers that have the 2's, I'm going to have to look at the next place value. But that automatically makes this one here my smallest. So I'm going to put that over here. 1 and 48 hundredths, okay? That's going to automatically be my smallest or my least, okay? So we're done looking at that number. So now this place value is not going to help me anymore. So now I need to look at my tenths. And I'm still, again, I'm looking to see which one's greater, which one's smaller. Well, 4 is less than 5, okay? So that's going to say, well, my 2 4800ths is going to fall in the middle, because that means my 2 5/10 is my largest. So that is my largest, and this is my smallest, okay? So on your sheet tonight, you're going to have 3 decimals, just similar to this, okay? You're going to have a copy of this chart here to help you put your decimals in, and then use that place value chart to help you compare and order those numbers. And we'll do greatest to least, since that's what we've been doing for the last couple slides. I won't switch that up on you. So you're going to order them from the biggest number to the smallest number. All right, boys and girls? And again, if you need to come back in and see how we used the chart to help us find and order those numbers, you can use that to help you with the steps through your practice problem. All right, boys and girls, thank you.